For number one?
Number one.
I didn't do it.
Oh, you did? You started from the bottom, now you here?
Yeah.
Okay. I need y'all to start from the top. Okay, go ahead. Stand up.
All right. So I'm Terry L. from UVU. Says coming out of feminist scholarship position or location refers to the place that a person occupies within a set of social relationships. This position is often determined by such categories as gender, class, race, language, sexual orientation, age, and physical ability.
What you got?
We put F on positionality.
Bam! Yeah, that's it. Number two. Come on, quick, quick. Somebody just stand up and read it and tell me what you got. Go.
Number two includes a vision of society in which the distribution of resources is equitable and all members are physically and psychologically safe and secure. Individuals are both self-determining and interdependent, and I put E.
J is the answer.
Yes. Woo! 2 for 2.
J is the answer.
I didn't get it.
Next, number three, let's go. Come on, y'all, come on, let's go, let's go. Go ahead, go ahead.
I gotta stand up.
Yes.
Undifferentiated, simplistic attributes that involve a judgment of habits, traits, abilities, or expectations, and is assigned as a characteristic to all members of a group, regardless of individual variation, with no attention to the relation between the attributions and the social context in which they have arisen. I put K.
K. Answer is? K.
K, 3.3. If we get them all right, what do we get?
You get your name in front of everybody. Next. Oh, I get our name in front of everybody. Next, come on, let's go. Somebody else, number 4. Hurry. Okay, go.
Oh, yeah. Member of the agent social group who takes a stand against social injustice directed at target groups. For example, whites who speak out against racism, men who are anti-sexist. No. I picked J, but now I don't think that's the right one.
What y'all got?
A.
A.
Yeah.
Yep. Next, need somebody else. Let's go. Number 5.
Hey.
Number 5.
We got B for number 5. Have to read it?
Read it, yeah, read it.
A preference or an inclination, especially one that inhibits impartial judgment, an unfair act or policy that stems from prejudice. B.
B is the answer. Next. Here we go, come on, let's go 6. That's a quick one. Come on, JJ.
Oh, okay, I'll go.
Stand up, sir.
The state quality idea of just being just, impartial, and fair. E.
No.
E is the answer.
Okay.
Look at him writing it in. That's what I said. E.
So 7 for 7.
All right, next. Hurry.
A set of negative personal beliefs about a social group that leads to individual prejudice, people, the group, and the group in general, regardless of individual differences among members of that group. H.
G.
G.
You sounded confident though, brother. I appreciate that.
Ain't nobody else reading.
Somebody else, let's go.
The systematic subordinate of the members targeted racial groups who have relatively low social power in the United States, Black, Latinos, Indians, Asians, by the members of the Asian racial group who have relatively more power, whites. This one is I.
H.
Okay.
Somebody other than JJ. Hurry.
Racialization in the
No, don't start reading. Somebody else.
resolution and the process in which you
Hold on, we got somebody. Go ahead.
Visualization is the process in which the color of one's skin takes on social and cultural characteristics / significance, which in turn shapes perceptions of identity by virtue of race.
I is the answer.
You gonna change that quick?
Next.
You got 2 answers.
Got 2 left, come on.
Social norms, roles, rituals, language, music, and art that reflect and reinforce the belief that one social group is superior to another. We put C.
C is the answer. Next.
The state or equality of treating everyone the same. D.
D is the answer.
11 for 11.
Excellent job.
You couldn't wait to say that one.
How many y'all got it right?
You got them all.
All of them right.
I got 1 wrong.
Ahead of time.
Right here.
You got them all right? Oh, okay, I'm just to say.
Go ahead, get it.
Okay, nobody did it. Nobody got it. And so,
Hey, she got them all right.
You got them all right? Well, I give you a general one. Ooh, killer! So then, now that you have the verbiage, right? So I expect you to commit all these definitions to memory. So you're able to have an intelligent conversation about the issues that you are impressed upon most, right? But ultimately, we arrive at this question. When does the reciprocation of social injustice become an option? Someone wants you to consider, right? So there are several ways to protest. So we can do sit-ins. Civil rights movement, African Americans did sit-ins frequently, where they went to the business, and the business said, either you have to come in the back because you're African American, or we don't serve African Americans. And they said, well, good, because we're not eating African Americans, but y'all saw now. And so they said, we're going to sit in until y'all serve us. And they went to jail right after that, right? So that's one way, right? So in the Ferguson situation, it is walking in the streets and protest, knowing that you're going to get maced, knowing that you're going to get arrested, knowing that you're going to be in the media getting framed as something other than what you were, right? So instead of a peaceful protester, you may be considered as a rioter or a hooligan.
Well, there are people that are doing that as well.
Right, yeah, that's my point. There are people who are doing that. But so for instance, say you have a scholarship at your university and you at Ferguson protesting, right? And the dean sees you on TV getting framed as a hooligan, right? You might get that call. We saw you on TV with your UVU shirt on. Hopefully you didn't have a UVU shirt on, but if you had it on, we saw you. And now we had to have a discussion with you about how you're misrepresenting the institution with this social justice protest stuff, right? And so then it becomes about, again, the last question, what are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to sacrifice your scholarship for social justice? Yes, question.
So I'm a criminal justice major, and right now I'm in criminal law, and my professor is this like 60-year-old white fox looking far-right conservative type-faced white man. And I'm writing my paper actually due on Monday on Ferguson, and I told him straight up, because he brought it up, I'm sitting in the front row staring at him waiting for him to say something. I'm the only like black person in there, and I'm light-skinned, you know, so he's like, I could not believe he said this. He straight up said in front of everybody, like, oh yeah, well, when there's a gangster thug trying to, you know, hurt an officer, like, yeah, like just justifying the whole situation. And I'm just like at that point, what would be your advice for me to say? Because I was like, that's actually not how it went down. He was like, well, we could discuss, you know, the details later. This is the time, you know.
Discuss it right now, so everybody can know the story.
So
I'm writing a paper on my term paper on it instead, you know, rather than make a scene in the middle of everybody. But I feel like I might have handled that wrong because, you know, if this was me 5 years ago, I would have made a scene.
Right. And so there are several ways you could have handled it. So you could have asked him, what makes you characterize Mike Brown as thug, right? Also,
he said he grabbed the officer.
Right. Because we don't know the facts, right? Because it's supposed to be a grand jury hearing, there shouldn't have been any leaks. So because there are disputable, different perspectives of the same incident, we really don't know what happened, right, in the media. And so, but that allows Mike Brown to be framed as he had marijuana in his bloodstream, right? So that contributes to his aggressiveness. I've never seen anybody that was high and aggressive, but he just committed a robbery, right? So they brought that out too. He just committed a robbery. He's leaving a crime. So he's already committed a criminal act. So when he's confronted by the cop, it makes sense that he was already a criminal, right? And so there are ways you can have discussions in class where you challenge a professor, or you can have discussions with the chair of the department without that professor present. Or if you feel comfortable, you can have discussions with that professor, which I would recommend in a one-on-one space without someone there to see how the outcomes of that, to answer your question. But, were you gonna say something, sir?
No, I've been in Missouri in Ferguson situation. I traveled there and I've talked to people that were present and saw. I mean, what the media is showing is what they want everybody to believe, but it's not the fact.
Right.
And so everyone else can have his own opinion on that, but the actual people who are at the scene, it's not the fact that the media is showing us.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, go ahead, sir.
I happened to get into an argument or conversation on CNN with some people about the case, and it seemed like an officer, and his first comment was, you know, too many times our officers are put in this situation where they don't really get back up and they're thrown out to the wolves. So I came back and said, you know, he's a kid, you shouldn't have had a gun pulled out, and there's other ways to deal with the situation. Now, I don't know anything about the justice system, so I kind of put myself out there and I kind of got destroyed. But what was interesting to me was there was no one who was looking at the case as if, you know, no one was looking at it from a racial perspective. Like, these guys, we're oppressed as people. They're more looking at it as we need to back up our police officers, and no matter if he's black, Latino, white, or whatever, we can't throw the book at him. And even though, and then I made the case that, you know, officers have guns, and if they're racially profiling black people, then obviously more racial groups and black people are going to die because of it. And something needs to be done about that. And the thing is, on the comment section, everybody was against me. And it was as if I'm the only person out there saying anything about this. And these people have so many supporters, so where's the, you know, how can we get a message across that this is something in society and social structure that we should look at and start investigating and thinking if it's right to do so. And I was just surprised that on this message board there was no one who backed me up on it. And,
right. And so I'm not surprised, right? And so I know that we have, everyone in here has a bias against some group. And unfortunately, because stereotypically in the United States, African American males have been framed as deficit, from a deficit perspective. So we're violent, we're angry, we're unemployable, we're uneducated. We are, and so then there's an intersection in hip hop culture too, right? And so because we wear Chucks and Dickies, and with a slingshot on, or Tim's, or however we're dressed, we're easily identifiable as he may be a possible criminal, or he may be in the act of criminality, right? And so what I have always wanted to see was someone interview the black cops. If I was an interviewer, I would find black cops. I mean, it's only two of y'all, right? And so I want to talk to the brothers and see how, so they're in an interesting dichotomy. They are black males who, if they didn't have their badges on, could be accosted, but they are in charge of protecting, right, and serving. And so I wonder how that looks. So I'm going to go to Go ahead.
All right, so they did do that. They neglected the black guy to be like the leader of everything. We're going to calm everything down out here. I'm saying for Ferguson. So they tried to put the black guy as the head leader. But I feel like he was just a figurehead to calm the community down.
And he was.
Everybody at home like, okay, now we got a black guy here. We cool. But it was just like a figurehead. He wasn't even running nothing.
Right.
He was just,
and he wasn't a part of the department either.
he wasn't even from the area.
Go ahead.
I asked my grandmother, she is a black cop, although she is a woman, and she was around during the Martin Luther King time, so I asked her her standpoint on the whole Ferguson thing. And she said, first, if you're not doing anything to break the law, then you're right there, you're already putting yourself in a position for them to address you. So if you're not breaking the law, then you can't, there's no reason for them to address you. So if they address you from that point, then it's a racial problem. But if you're breaking the law and expect no one to say anything to you about it, that's a problem. And that's also where it goes back to, on our standpoint from the situation, us as being black people, we have to realize that just because we were oppressed at a time, that doesn't give us the right to do things and not expect consequences as well.
Right.
So it also goes back to now, the way the cop handled it was completely unacceptable. That's on his part. But how, like, us as teens and stuff, we think there are no consequences. So when cops do address us, we automatically flip, oh, you're just coming to me because I'm black. No, you did something wrong. So it also goes back to us taking responsibility for our own actions as well. If we don't do anything wrong, they won't say anything to us half the time.
Well, so I would challenge that, right? And so sometimes us being black in a space is wrong to them. And that's why we are questioned, right? As to why are you there? Why are you here? Or so for instance, you're on college campuses, you may have a police that campus ask you for your ID. Or do you live in this residential hall? Or so what you doing on campus? Like you don't have the right to be there. Like they can't even imagine you in any other capacity. Why would you not be enrolled in the campus and just be on campus? You just in the union, right? For no reason, just hanging out, right? You like this Panda Express is the best one in the whole state, and just college. So I come here to eat every day, right? But the thing is that they're questioning you. So I believe that when some people are wrong. I mean, if you're on the corner slinging rock, police need to get at you because you're wrong. You poison their community. But if you are out and we just hanging at the mall, it is my opinion that they don't have the right to ask you why you are there. But when you respond, I would encourage you to be as calm as possible. So respect is subjective. I would encourage you to respond. They ask you why are you here? Well, I'm here. I attend school here. I can show you my ID if it's necessary. And matter of fact, you can call Dr. Hotchkins. Here's the cell number. He can vouch to the fact that I belong here, right? And so part of it too is you shouldn't have to, but part of it too is having representatives, right, that can vouch for you on your campus, that are not just your students of the same age. And so it is like Keith, that talked about me last night. Keith got my cell number. So if he needs me to vouch, I've written letters of recommendation for him to get scholarships. Part of it too is y'all have to make connections and bonds with faculty and staff on campus. So just in case, even though you shouldn't have to, just in case you need somebody to verify that you're supposed to be there, they call me. And I can say, oh yeah, JJ, yeah. I beat him down 2K the last weekend. And we go home to the Thunder, right? With the help of Kevin Garnett. So Kevin Durant. And so, yeah, the key is catching, but to tie it all together, social justice is subjective, and it's going to vary. It is very difficult to convince somebody that they need freedom if they don't know they're enslaved, right? And so, in some spaces of the country, it's cool to be called boy. So if I go to University of Alabama, they may call you boy all the time. You may be like, oh, it's just the culture. But I ain't happy. I'm going home. I'm a grown man, right? And so I'm not a boy. And so sometimes it's contextual, but whenever people need to be helped, if you see that as an opportunity, I recommend that you step up and help. Because part of being black is not just being black. We got to give back, right? We're supposed to step up and say something. And I'm not encouraging you to lose your life because you only got one. But if you just sit back and allowing your peers to get talked to crazy, they're going to eventually get to you, right? So when they take snatch of scholarships and talking to folks crazy, and the professor in class is justifying what happened to people that look like you, if you don't say nothing, eventually, when it happens to you, and you say something, don't expect people to come help you, right? What's going to be your comment?
I forgot.
You forgot. Okay. So that's it. I'm out of time. Thank you for coming out. I appreciate you. Think about social justice is not something that we just do when we have to. It's something that we do because we're supposed to. So thank you.
about more than one time. Could have rephrased that, brother.